Ready. Play.
Before we have a quick look back on the match where Jordan Thompson stunned Rafa Nadal, winning 6-3 in the third after Rafa had 3 match points, I want to just give a quick injury update regarding some issues that Rafa felt during that third set, and in fact he did take a prolonged break at 4-1 down. Nadal in his press conference afterwards said that the pain he felt today came from a similar place to the injury that was there last year. And of course, we remember him having a year away from the court after incurring the hip injury almost exactly a year ago in his second round loss to Mackenzie MacDonald. And he said this in his press conference today. It's a very similar place to what happened last year, but different stuff. I feel more muscle. Last year was tendon. I feel the muscle tired. I mean, for sure, it's not the same like last year at all, because when it happened last year, I felt something drastic immediately. Today, I didn't feel anything. The only problem is because the place is the same. You are a little bit more scared than usual. It's normal to feel that way. In an ideal world, it's just the muscle supercharged after a few days of effort and a very tough match. That will be the ideal thing, something that can happen today. That is why I'm taking all the time that my goal is to try to be competitive in a few months. I mean, from this perspective, you don't know all the information that I have. From that perspective, the only thing that probably you see is I have been playing very well the last 2 matches. It's true, I have been playing well. A lot of things can be happening in a body like my body after a year without playing tennis. So hopefully it is just that, just a muscle that is supercharged. It's the normal process on that. If that's the thing, everything's perfect. As I said, I didn't come here to win tournaments now. I just came here to try to come back and do it in a positive way. It was a very positive return. Then let's see. I really hope if the feeling on the leg is better and tomorrow and after tomorrow, then it's perfect news. If not, as I said, we're going to do a test and let's see. So fairly positive news overall, but the negative news is it is the same area. Anyway, let's have a quick look back on the match and beginning with the match point, which was an incredible match point that Thompson sealed the deal.
Sliced by Nadal. Thompson just reaches it. Down the line by Nadal, and it's long, and Jordan Thompson on the probably the longest rally of the match outlasts Rafael Nadal and gets the victory. It has been a mammoth event here in Brisbane between these 2 players. Jordan Thompson bringing his A++, what feels like plus game to the courts here. I say here, the courts in Brisbane. Absolutely chuffed the bit, celebrating with the crowd. He ends up winning the match 5-7, 7-6, 6-3 in what I believe is something like 3 hours and 25 minutes. So an absolutely gigantic effort there from Jordan Thompson to get the win. What did you make of that, Damien?
Yeah, as I said earlier, like a back to earth for Rafa, but it had to happen at some point. I did sort of want him to play Dimitrov or Rune, just give him one more amazing match against like a high quality opponent. But still, I think it's perfectly fine to lose to Thompson at this stage of his comeback. Thompson does deserve a lot of credit for at least sticking around long enough to outlast him, and not many players would have done that today. And 3 hours on the court, and that's also a benefit for Rafa, really. So I think it definitely will hold off some of the excitement that I saw from people. But maybe that's good, Maybe they will just not be disappointed when he draws Djokovic in the opening round at the Australian Open and wins 6 games of him. But anyway, still, Jordan Thompson, that deserved victor because he saved the match points. He was ballsy when it mattered, unlike Rafa, actually. And sure. Why not? I mean, it was a very tight, a very good match. Lasted, it was a whole marathon that I think in the long run will actually end up helping Rafa more than hurting him.
The match points were pretty ugly though, weren't they? I mean, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. I was talking about this just a couple of days ago. I remember. I think Felix having a match point against Medvedev. Korda, to some extent, his match point against Djokovic last year in Adelaide. The match point Alcaraz had against Djokovic in Cincinnati. All of those points are like, well, there's not much regret there. Alcaraz's regrets will be elsewhere. But no, yeah,
Korda Djokovic actually probably doesn't.
I did
really
hesitate a bit with that one. But,
that one doesn't really fit, I think. But I know what you mean, yeah.
But these Nadal ones were ugly. I mean, the backhand volley. He's just got to place it over the net, and it probably, if it's not an outright winner, it's certainly getting him in very much in charge of the point, and that's only if Jordan manages to run it down. The forehand, I think it was during the tie break on the first match point, I think it was that he put wide. Puts those away in his sleep. And I can't remember the other one. Well, there was a smash in the tiebreak, not a match point, but it was a smash at 4-3. Very, very ugly. Some of this might be because of a year off tour. That may be the case. I mean, he goes obviously 6-7 years without losing a match, having had match points. I think you said it was Kyrgios in Acapulco. What year was that? 2017? 2019, okay. So 4 or 5 years since this happened. And now it happens, shortly after his return to the tour. Anyway, that is the sort of Rafa story, I guess. I also think he just needs as many matches as he can and as many match wins as he can. So as much as I agree with you that 3 hours plus on court will not do him any harm, do we know what the physical issue was specifically with him, by the way?
He went off the court, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
but I wasn't... No, but I wasn't sure. I mean, normally there's an indication. It might be, whether it's the abs or hip or whatever. But he came back. Those last 3 or 4 games, it was like he was the same as right at the beginning of the match in a way. So he did manage to do this sort of Djokovic-esque reset. And I think it might have just been fatigue. It might have just been fatigue, and I'm going to take 5 minutes here. Not that that's legal, of course.
No, it makes sense. You could just easily just start, rubbing. It was like he did the right bit of his thigh just to say that he needed some time off court, just to reset mid-set.
That's not too bad. If it's thigh, then that's just probably a bit of tightness, and
I mean, I think everyone's thighs will be burning after 3 hours on court playing, main tour tennis. That sort of level. But no, it kind of helped him at least going off court for a bit because it was able to reset. And just able to hold his serve quite well in the latter half of that third set.
Damien, the service issues that I was worried about for Rafa in the first 2 matches did appear today. The second serve, Jordan was just eating that for breakfast. I think at various points of the match, it was about a 4 out of 5. Jordan was winning those points, which is just insane off the second serve.
Second serve, though, right? Like before, we were chatting about the first, I guess.
Yeah, from both players.
So it's not really a matter of pace as well.
But anyway,
I mean, a matter of rhythm,
a
routine.
I'm not sure how many double faults were after. They took just 2, but both of those double faults were coming in a period of the match when Thompson was just crushing returns. And I was thinking to myself, these double faults are coming from the fact that you've got to do a good second serve, or you're going to lose them. Jordan Thompson, what about his chances, do you think, against Dimitrov?
Rather slim.
As bad as that? Okay. I mean, physically, of course, he'll have had a tough battle today. I mean, 30% chance of winning? Or am I being too much?
I would say
Why
30.
not?
I think with the Australian crowd behind him being an Aussie, and if he could produce some of the, somewhat similar to the level he produced today, because we've got to also give credit to Jordan. He played an outstanding level of tennis across all 3 sets to get this victory here. It wasn't a case of just like Rafa giving it to him. He had to go out and win this. And if he's able to produce similar sort of levels against Dimitrov, potentially taking a set, maybe making another set fairly close is a possibility for Jordan here. I mean, okay. Dimitrov is playing outstanding tennis at the moment and is very much one of the most informed players on tour, and it would be interesting to see how well Jordan can cope with that when it takes place.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I love the improvements that Thompson has made over the years. Like, of course, there was a moment when he was a bit of a challenger vulture. That's not really a case anymore, not at all. But is he as good as Dimitrov is? Nah, not on hardcore at least.
Thompson, of course, could have won the first set, by the way, today. I mean, he was up a break at 4-3 and then got immediately broken back. I would say, though, that Rafa was probably the better player across the 12 games, certainly the first 5 or 6 games where Rafa was serving quite well and Jordan was not. That was sort of a period of the match that I thought Rafa should have taken advantage. And actually, Thompson break and serve was a sort of opportunistic moment, if you like, before Rafa then broke back immediately and took that first set. But I guess the story, though, of the match is that second set and that period at the end of the second set and then the tiebreak. I mean, Rafa goes up 3-love in the tiebreak. Then Jordan pegs him back to 3-all. 4-3 is the smash moment that was horrible. 6-4 is the horrible forehand. I don't remember the 6-5 point, but it was another chance for Rafa. I remember that.
Yeah, I think certainly I think that second match point will be the one that will haunt him. As you were saying, it was the case when he came forward. All he had to do was, I mean, if he just put that forehand cross court, it would have been a much easier shot to have gone from, and would have would have got the result of winning the match. And yeah, it's something he's got to live with. I'm gonna have to shoot now. When we've gone, but it was a good match to cover. Start the season.
Yeah.
See you later on.
All right.
See you.
Gene's saying so sad for Rafa. I don't know if he's being ironic because he's a big Djokovic fan. Not wanting him to end like this. Well, I mean, I hope Gene's not suggesting this is the end. Did maybe Gene knows something we don't? But that was the horrible moment, and I forget what I was about to say. But I mean, now we've got 9-10 days for him to sort of get a bit more of a practice. And Gene, you've really confused me with these comments, I have to say. But I think you just mean it's a disappointing result from match point. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It did have some Tsitsipas vibes, that quarterfinal in 2021. Of course, that was 5 sets. This was 3, but there was a horrible smash from Nadal. I think there may have been 2 actually from him in that particular tiebreak when he was 2 sets to love up. And just the sort of way that Nadal sort of fell away as that match wore on. I mean, Nadal was just not making any impression on the Tsitsipas serve, and Tsitsipas was growing in confidence. And I mean, Nadal had a sniff, of course, at love 15 and then 15-30 in the final game. But there was a fairly lengthy stretch where Jordan was pretty comfortable on serve, I felt.
In the first set?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone made the comparison in the chat. I think maybe it was Matthew, to the Raducanu Svitolina match. Like, it's literally the same pattern, you know. You don't win it in 2. There's absolutely no chance you're gonna win it in 3 from there, because the opponent is just fresher, and fresher to an extent that really makes it so hard for you to play.
I noticed a few points at the beginning of the third. There was a couple of easy-ish putaways from Jordan, but there was not really a running sort of full pelt attempt from Nadal. And I saw it and I thought, this is looking a bit. It doesn't mean he's going to lose the match necessarily, because Rafa could just serve well and wheel out the forehands he did against Taylor or against Chapeau in very sticky situations in years gone by. And I think we did see a little wobble from Jordan near the end. No.
When last game?
I mean, when he was serving it out, I felt it was a little tentative on some of those shots, and probably felt a slightly revitalized Rafa on the other side of the net, who's won 22 Grand Slams.
Maybe a little. I mean, he does have some issues, especially when it comes to his forehand. Like, that's why he's only good in quicker conditions, really, because he cannot, just hit through the ball if it's like, uncomfortable for him. If it's not exactly a shot that's like an approach or something, it's not a massive shot off the ground. So I think it was fine for him to play that rally like this. But, as a whole,
the last rally was pretty special.
Oh yeah, I mean the rally. I was thinking of that one at 15:30, but as a whole, Rafa definitely did give him a couple of easier points there.
The rally at 15 all is the one where he felt a bit tentative and
that's the one I was referring to.
Yeah, and then he sort of whacks his racket into the ground and just changed his racket. I'm not sure if there was a ping on a string or something, but he did change his racket at that point and won the next 3 points. So that was a sensible decision. But yeah, the match point, I mean, maybe Rafa might felt as though he could have gone a touch bigger on some of those, but he was pushing Jordan. And to be honest with you, those kind of rallies in the first set, Rafa was winning them. But on this occasion, it was Rafa who blinked first by going along.
Should be taking most of these, right? Whenever he gets Thompson to slice and just, manages to keep maneuvering him. But not on that occasion.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in today. It's been pretty epic, this one. An almost 4-hour stream, and 3 3/4 of that, or 3.5 hours of that, was indeed the match itself, as you can see on the screen. 3.5 hours. And of course, if it had gone to a tiebreak, we may well have seen 4, and it nearly did. But I think Gene is probably overreacting slightly in the chat. I don't think we need to press too many. If this was, don't forget, in Brisbane, he went out at a similar stage in 2017, and he comes back and gets to the final in Australia. Of course, this is a very different Rafa. It's 6 years on, and we've got a few more question marks. But for me, it's about the draw. If he plays Jordan, for example, in the 3rd or 4th round at the Australian Open, and that's, by the way, a pretty good result for Jordan, then we may well see a very, very different Rafa and a very different result. He is only going to get better. I would just be concerned that the Australian might come a couple of weeks too early for him in terms of his comeback, especially if he's
I don't think this should be the expectation, that he goes into the second week. Like, literally, for now, the expectation is win a couple of matches, get some time in on the court.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I do think the draw is key, because we might be looking at it going, he's not winning a match, or we might see the draw go. I think he can make the second week. I think you're right. If he just gets a regular draw, let's say he gets Jordan in the first round, followed by a qualifier in the second, you go, okay, third round should be all right until he's set to play Rune or Shelton or Zverev, even, by the way, perhaps. Zverev obviously having a pretty good win today against Tsitsipas.
If he plays Djokovic in the first round, he's not going to win more than 6 games. No, 6 games is maybe a stretch, but it's going to be like the final in 2019. So he will be hoping to avoid that. Yeah,
that's right. That's the first hurdle. Avoid Djokovic in the first round. But the problem that Rafa needs as unseeded is there's probably about another 5 or 6 players that he needs to avoid until the second week to give himself half a chance, maybe even more, as there's plenty of other dangerous players that will actually even be unseeded themselves. Anyway, as I said, that does bring us to an end. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do check out Damien and get his Seeds of Wisdom on Twitter at Damien Kust. Give James as well a follow at Tennis Ranter, and of course Talking Tennis across all the socials at Talking Tennis. And Damien, are you going to sleep again?
No, probably not. I don't know. Yeah, the next night is what scares me, because you've got Poland, China at 30 past midnight or something like that, and then all the challenger finals are at 6-7 a.m. So it will be a nightmare.
Which is the first match between Poland and China?
Not China. Oh Jesus, I said China. Poland, France, of course. Manarino, Hurkacz. Yeah. Poland, China was the quarters. So
it's Igor against Garcia.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They didn't play any good matches last year, but maybe this one.
No. Definitely nothing. Nothing that would make your list of like the top 7. Well, top 7 maybe, but definitely nothing that would be in the top 3. No.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
Of every reasonable person, at least. Top 3 of every reasonable person.
Thanks for tuning in. I do anticipate having plenty more live watch-alongs in the coming 24 hours. Whether Damien features awake, alive, or not, I'm not sure. We'll have some chats maybe off air, but if he could do one, that'd be great. But I understand that his batteries, a bit like Rafa's in that last set, were running on empty.
Now it's fine, but in this night will be rough.
I'm like you. I'm the sun is up now, and I'm revitalized right now, and that's a problem for me too, because I think I had, and I honestly don't know how many hours sleep I had, because I'm so confused with all the different time zones I'm having to keep up with, that I don't know if it was 2, 3, or 4 hours. I know it was substandard. Anyway, everyone else, thanks for joining us, and make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, because we're going to have plenty more watch-alongs in the next 24, 48, 72, and coming weeks, of course, with Australia on the horizon. Thanks for tuning in, and you know the drill.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.